happy Sunday to everyone. So today we're going to look at data visualization in Power BI, and that is more from the perspective of that how we can garner insights out of data and what kind of inferences we can make using the data. So let me just go ahead and share my screen. And while I'm sharing my screen, one thing that I really want to call out is that this session is a quick one. It is just an introduction, and there may be scenario that you may have certain questions. So in case if you have any questions, I'm sure Dr. Mehrotra will going to bridge that gap in the sense like if I'm able to answer any questions right now during the session itself, that'll be awesome. And if you have any additional questions, Dr. Mehrotra, please feel free to shoot those questions to me, and I'll be more than happy to answer those questions. Apart from this, what I have done is I have divided the session into two sections. The first one is the module, which I think almost all of you know what Power BI is. I will just quickly take you through the Power BI and what its capabilities are. And then we're going to look at two examples of industry like, SaaS, we call it software as a service industry. If somebody's launching their application in the market, how they would track that, how exactly their application is performing. And then the second one is related to a retail outlet. And that is one data that I have shared with Dr. Mehrotra, and probably post this session, you would want to use that data to play around within the Power BI module. So I'll share some examples of the kind of dashboards that I've created using that particular data. And the second part is show and tell, which I call demo time. So what we're going to do is we're going to do some interesting visualization. And I'll just take you guys through that, some nuances relative to the data and how that data feeds into visualization. So without further ado, let me just go ahead and move on with the first section of the presentation. So let's try and understand what is the core agenda for this module. So this module, we're going to look at the power of Power BI, what Power BI can do, how it can do, and why Power BI. And then we're gonna look at some inclusion quotient in the sense like why we need Power BI or a Tableau or a MicroStrategy or a ClickView of the world. And then what are the Power BI's offering? So very basic information, and I'm sure it'll gonna help you to better understand what Power BI is all about. So Power BI is nothing but a business analytics tool. When I say nothing, don't take it lightly. It means that for an average user, it is just a business intelligence tool, but it is more than that. You have the capability to include R, include Python, include SQL, DAX. So DAX is data analytics expression, which is a specific code structure, or so to say, a formula-driven code structure that we use within BI to create additional measures and additional metrics. And what you can do in Power BI, so Power BI is sort of divided into three things. The very first thing is Power Query, where you query the data, you transform the data. And the second part is the data relationship, data modeling part of it, where you can create relationships in between multiple tables that you get within your data. And we're going to have a look at it. So don't worry. And the third part is the business intelligence part, where we query the data, post creating the relationship in between the data tables, and then we start augmenting the data-driven story. In the market, especially in the industry, you will hear a lot people talking about data-driven decision-making, data-driven business analytics, data-driven this, data-driven that. At the end of the day, what it means is that how effectively you are using the data. So what does Power BI do is Power BI gives you all the capabilities at a 360-degree level to answer all those questions, to make data-driven decisions. So with that being said, let's try and understand the basic structure. So you get the data, you have the option, you can have the data on your machine, you can have the data on, in cloud. So you have all those options. So on-premise means that you have an installation. So in our industry, we have two kind of setups, which are most popularly used by almost all the clients. So My team currently is serving Fortune 500 to Fortune 1000 organizations, and even Fortune 100 organizations. So they prefer that we should implement any business intelligence tool or application or solution on their premise, instead of hosting that solution on our servers due to data security, or there is so much GDPR, Data Protection Act, and data security policy. So due to all those things, they would really want us to go for this. And then medium-sized companies would prefer using our hardware. So these are the two ways that we consume the data, or we bring the data to the solution. And then once we have the data, then we have the Power BI reports, we have the quick start, we have the, I'm sorry for the typo here, interactive dashboards. We create the interactive dashboards, real-time, natural language query, custom visualization. So we're going to have a look at all these things in this session. So just think about it. This session is more of drinking from the fire hose, if you will. A lot of information, but in a very easy to understand. That's what my aim is. So once you have data, once you have created all those reports, all the interactive dashboards, then you have the capability to share those reports to various people across the line of business. You can create your applications. You can automate the entire data creation or data visualization methodology or insight generation methodology. Then why do we need Power BI? So very clearly and eloquently, we are saying that nearly everyone across the organization engages with software. So software is being used by anyone and everyone within an organization, but only 25% or even less than 25% of the workers have access to the analytical insights. And why is it so? Because there is so much of hype that has been created around data visualization, around machine learning, that an average person feels that, I feel intimidated. I just don't feel like venturing into business intelligence because it is very complex. It is very difficult to wrap your brain around various methods, which is not the case. Power BI makes all these things pretty simple, and we're going to have a look at it. And that is the intent of this particular slide. So how we are moving, so how we ensure that we are including everyone. So this is sort of a layer, okay? This is sort of a layer where most of the industry operates. So till late 2010, if I may say, this kind of technology, okay, was only available to data scientists, people, those who had good coding knowledge, people, those who had pretty great experience with VBAs and all the great coding technologies. This kind of capability was only exposed to people like this, statisticians, biostatisticians, data scientists, if you will. Then later, with the emergence of Power View, so Power View is another tool. It's an add-on that you can use within Excel to create pretty decent looking reports without having to get into Power BI. So probably that can be, that can be a topic of another session, but you may want to do a little bit of research. So Power View, this is the name that you need to make a note of and do a little bit of a research at your end. So Power View gave the capability for each and every individual to use business intelligence tricks within Excel. And then as soon as Power BI was introduced, this entire intelligence spectrum was made available even to a citizen data scientist. When I say citizen data scientist, I mean to say that anyone and everyone can now make data-driven decisions, given the fact that Power BI is so easy to use. So this is the intent of this slide, that how it actually moved from a very specialized tool to a very, so to say, a common tool that can be used by anyone to make inferences out of the data that they have. So Power BI portfolio is pretty straightforward. You have Power BI Desktop, you have Power BI Free, and you have Power BI Pro and Power BI Premium. And these are certain, certain capabilities that you can have within the Power BI portfolio landscape, if you will. So these are certain examples, and we're going to have a look at these examples. So this is the one that I created for one of the retailers. When I say I, it is me and my team. It is not me. The thought was sort of mine, because given the fact that I'm at a place and I'm at a juncture in my career that I need to create POC. We call it proof of concept. So this was the proof of concept that was created by me, and later it was used by my team to create the main output for one of the major retailers based out of the US. And then these two visualizations that you're looking at, these are the visualization for software as a service client. So we were just trying to understand that how the software is performing, and there were some bells and whistles. When I say bells and whistles, some additional functionality that makes your visualization interactive and consumable. So we're going to have a look at these two examples, and then we delve into how to create some interesting visualization within Power BI. So with that being said, now we are moving into the demo time part of the session. So as I say, uh, giving you a perspective helps to understand and helps to cement the basic idea of a particular session. That is why I had this presentation. Now what I'm going to do is I will just simply move into the visualization part of it. And I hope everyone can view my screen. Am I right?
Yeah, visible very much.
Perfect. So this is quite an old dashboard that I created, and you can see that Power BI is prompting me that I may need to upgrade the report. So that's not a problem. We'll still be able to understand what I am trying to showcase. So interestingly, what you're going to see is you see that you have a couple of options over here, a couple of options over here. So this is nothing but data tables, and these are certain areas that we will explore during the show and tell part of the session. But just to give you an idea, this was the POC where I really wanted to ensure that I and my team, we are providing the granular level of detail to my customer. So this was one of the biggest engagements that we had. So the thought was that we should be able to give them a micro and a macro level view, or so to say, a macro to micro level view. Macro means at the very top, micro means that the tiniest of the information is included within the visualization without convoluting or without confusing the client, okay? So the overview section talks about that, what are the core metrics that we're gonna look at, and then we have the district sale analysis, we have the selling area analysis, we have the new store analysis. Footfall means how many people are venturing into your mall or into your retail shop or into your superstore. And what if analysis is nothing but scenario-based analysis, which you can always do within Excel itself. So instead of clicking on these links, what I'll do is I'll just simply click on tabs. And now we are looking at the overview part of the equation. So it gives you a bird's eye view as to how your core metrics are performing. Okay. At the end of the day, you not only consume your data with your mind, but you also consume your data with your eyes, which is quite an interesting analogy, if you will. Because if my data does not look beautiful, then probably I may not be willing to spend a lot of time. So executives think in that way. Okay, can I get the gist of the data set or the performance of my organization in one view or not? What sort of information I'm getting? Am I getting the information about the core metrics? And that's what we are trying to solve for. So you have the average unit price, you have the revenue for this year, you have the total stores, then you have the number of new stores, you have count of footfalls, you have total units that are sold this year, and then you have the option to look at the information by district manager. And then if you want to get into the details of how deep you want to go, you have the option to click on all these things. So this is what we did. And interestingly, if you click on any of these guys, the information will change on its own. Okay, when I select more than one, it will show all. It was a POC because I cannot go ahead and share the original data with you all. So this was the POC that I created, and we tweaked this where if I select 2 or 3, it gives me specific names of that particular district manager. But it was quite intuitive. So the next thing was that how my districts are performing. And to do that, we had to create not only the basic visualization, but also a way to consume the information on the map itself. Okay, so you will see that we have gross margin this year versus average selling area. So is the thought, is the very thought of the more space I have, the more sales I'll be able to make. Is it right or wrong? You can make some level of inference from these dots on the map. You can clearly see if the dot is red, then probably not a whole lot of profit is being generated, whereas the area size is high or low. So those kind of inferences. So you see all that information in this view. Then you have the selling area analysis. This was one of the most appreciated analysis. So just think about it. You are the owner of a retail store, and you want to make sense of data in a way that you can actually say that which specific area of my retail store is making more profits for me, and what are those core ingredients of those profits. So on the left, what you're looking at is an R visualization, and that's what I was saying. You can bake in R visualizations within your Power BI dashboard, and this is what it is showing me. This is the correlation plot that you're looking at, and the moment I'll make selections over here, this thing will going to change. So this is the correlation plot, and this is the gross margin by the chain. So I've changed the name. Pretty smart, huh? I have Lindsay's, I have Fashion Direct, and similarly, I'm just trying to understand how these two stores are, what sort of margin, gross margin, these two stores are generating, and how many units are being sold by these chains. And if I select anything within this map, will I be able to make more inferences? And the answer is yes, you will be able to. So if I click on this, for instance, kids and juniors, now you can see how total units correlate with the fact, which is sales per square feet, open months number, selling average size, total stores. So total stores, you will see it does not matter. So we are not saying that there's a causality. So just to call that out, correlation is not causation. I'm sure you may have heard 10,000 times this particular line, but this still holds a lot of truth. We are just exploring the relationship. We are not defining the causality out here. So we are just saying that having more stores or less stores may not have a strong relationship. It does not have. It's a negative relationship. Has a negative relationship with your total units sold this year. And similarly, you will see the other variables. And then you have the option to select specific area. So to do that, I need to press Control, and then if I click on small area, I will get all the information related to the small selling area. Then I have the medium selling area. Then I have the big selling area, so on and so forth. And then I have the ability to remove all these filters. So we call this kind of a visualization a synoptic panel visualization. Synoptic panel means that if I have a store map, I can map each section of the store with my data, given I have those data fields available within my data set. So this makes your visualization even more powerful. And let's have a look at some other interesting visualizations out here. Just give me a moment. Let's look at the footfall analysis. Not footfall, but merchandise analysis. So this is another synoptic panel. It gives you a way to consume the information just to say that which part of merchandise or which category of merchandise is making more revenue. So you see that women's section 6.39 average. We are talking about averages over here. Average unit, price of average unit. Okay, and then we have men's, then we have kids. And the moment I click on this, it will start generating information relative to the women's section or the men's section or the kids section. And then items, you can see the sales variance, you can see. So potentially you can see everything. You can see each and every aspect of your data. And similarly, I had the inventory analysis. This is sort of, what if I increase my inventory size by 2 times? What sort of profit I'll start making? So you will see all that information coming into the picture. What sort of category? So I think, what about women's? Okay, so now you can see all the information is getting updated automatically over here. So this was the proof of concept that I, along with my team, we presented uh, to this retailer. And then the other thing is we talked about the natural language generation or query. So this is one add-in that we use to generate these what should I say, these call outs. Okay, nobody has time in this world to spend a lot of time to go through each and every aspect of the data and then write a story. So this particular module writes the story on its own. Okay, you just need to bring in the values of your interest, and that's about it. So this was the retail dashboard that I did. Now let's have a look at the web application dashboard that I created. So this looks pretty modern and pretty minimalistic, if you will. But essentially what we are trying to tell to this client is that what is the overall performance of your application, okay? What is the overall performance of your application in terms of how much amount is being spent by the customers? What is the membership length? What is the app time? How much time an individual is spending on an average on your application? And amount spent versus session length. People, those who are spending more time on your application, are they spending more money? And similarly, it's like session length and time on app. So these two are confusable terms, if you will. Session length could be, I may be using various various parts of the application, and time on app is for a specific part of the application. So that in that ways, in that regard, it may sound a little confusing, but these two are giving different perspective. And then I have the star rating. Okay, so the moment I click on Android, the moment I click on iOS, you will see, you will see the information will start to populate. Okay, this usually happens with me, so not a big deal. Okay, ignore it. But the whole idea over here is that how easy can I make the information for the consumer, or how easy I can make my dashboard look in terms of navigation and gleaning insights and stuff like that when it comes to the dashboarding application. And similarly, you will see the moment I click on any of these guys, the information will going to get updated on its own, which is a normal functionality. Then you have various filters. So this is the intro or the overview or the landing page of the application. Now, if I want to look at the regional performance, I need to click on this guy, and it will going to take me to the regional part of the dashboard. This looks interesting. Some green, some orange or amber, some red. What do they mean? I mean, it's not making sense. Okay, yeah, it'll start to make sense. The moment I click on this guy, I will get a narrative that tells me that how each and every region is performing. And by the way, this is auto-generated. Okay, so I have not written this. It has been auto-generated by a module that is called as, it is somewhere here, probably, Smart Narrative. Smart Narrative is the module that I have used in here, and then I use the bookmark functionality to turn it off or on, or however I want to look at. And obviously, once I make the selections, the information will going to change. Now, the next question that the client says that Sunil, it's great, it's lovely, it makes sense, but I need to understand what are those specific variables that are increasing the amount spent on my app. I want to understand what are the key influencers. I want to understand what are the key contributors. And for that, we have a module that is called as Key Influencer. There it is. It is somewhere here. Probably I'm able to locate it here. But yeah, here it is, Key Influencer. So this module works on logistic regression, okay? It will tell you which variable is contributing to the output, which is spending more money on the app. So if I go to the influencer analysis, I click on it, voila. Now I can clearly see that if somebody is spending more than 34 minutes on the application, will end up spending more, because what influences amount spent to increase? The very first thing is session length. And then length of the membership goes up to 0.98, which could be, which could be 1 month or which could be 1 week, whatever. But if you want to dig deeper, okay, if you want to dig deeper, you can click on this guy. My bad. I've already clicked on it. Yeah. So this is the only influencer. So the next thing is that I want to dig deeper. So in order for you to dig deeper, now that you have made a selection, you need to go to top segments. And within top segments, the moment you click on top segments, now you can clearly see that length of membership, where it is greater than 5 weeks or months, you can expect people to spend more, because that's how the segment is showing. And then you have the option to look at the other segments, so on and so forth. And segment 1 contains 24 data points, 5.6% of the entire data. So essentially, you're not doing anything. You just have the basic knowledge of how to use this module, and then you put in the values, and all the inferences will be made by the module itself. Okay. And then obviously you have the option to select by specific iOS as well. So this was the web app part of this is pretty simple. Excuse me. And then obviously the other interesting thing is I also happen to include the refresh time, so that whosoever looks into the report should be able to see that when exactly the data was refreshed. And you can clearly see that data was refreshed today. And once again, this is the dummy data. This is not the original data. So these are the 2 examples that I really wanted to share with you all. Now what I'm going to do is, now we're going to have a look at something even more interesting. So I shared a data with Dr. Mehrotra. I don't know if you guys happen to have a look at that data or not, but this is the output of that data. So it's a superstore data where I have profits, where I have units sold and everything. And I'm trying to create a visualization. So maps are very, very common nowadays. Okay, so if I look at this map, essentially what it is telling me is, it is telling me that how each and every state is performing in terms of its profit. And then the profit is marked as good and bad based on its color. Okay, you can see red is bad, and blue is good, amber is sort of somewhere in between. So this is a very basic visualization. So what will make this visualization out of the world? This visualization, if I can tell to my client that which specific state and which delivery method and what type of category is contributing to a profit or a loss, then it will going to make more sense. And that's essentially what I have done. And that's essentially what I'm going to tell you, that how you can create this kind of a visualization. The moment you hover on the visualization, it will tell you that in Texas, the product category, if you, I can include the product category. So there are product categories like furnitures, computer accessories and stuff like that, which are making most of the profits. And the delivery type or choice of delivery is delivery truck. Whereas if I look at somewhere here, it's regular air, and it's doing sort of, it's doing in the middle, sort of average, not a great performing state. So we will see that how we can create this kind of a visualization where I can bring in visualization within a tooltip. In a standard scenario, you cannot create a visualization within the tooltip. It requires some sort of tricks to include this kind of visualization, and we're going to have a look at it. But before we look at it, a couple of things when we are dealing with multiple tables, okay? So the first thing is your tables should not be wide. When I say wide, I mean to say like this. Wide means that you have lots and lots of attributes, lots and lots of measures. Try to have specific tables, we call it narrow tables, and then have as many tables as you can. I mean, star schema. I don't want to confuse you guys. I don't know whether you know this data modeling technique or you have covered it in your syllabi or not, but just telling you, in industry, we use star schema. So star schema helps us to make our data light. Star schema helps us to keep our data visualization, in terms of its performance, pretty fast. It helps us to remove noise from the data. So star schema means that you connect multiple narrow tables with one another, and then you try to make sense of the data. So that is one thing. So don't keep your tables wide, keep your tables narrow, and you will see something interesting over here. The way you see, column 27, I don't know what column 27 is, column 26, I don't know what column 26 is. Similarly, you see that I don't have names for these columns. So what should I do? Probably when I ingested this data, I did something wrong. Yes, probably, or my data was not defined in a table. So what I'll do is I do a right click, edit query. When I started with this module, I talked about 2 or 3 things. What makes Power BI Power BI? That is, you can query the data, you can transform the data, you can create relationships, and you can do business intelligence. So essentially, if you look over here, region and manager is not defined as the header. So now what I need to do is I need to define these 2 guys as the header. So what I did, let me show it to you guys once again. Okay. Excuse me. So on the table, I did a right click, edit query. And once I'm there in edit query, I click on this guy and then use first row as headers. Voila. And that's all about it. Now I click close and apply. And it should reload the data. And it will take, a few times. Lovely. Now it automatically connected my user data with the main data table that I had. So this is another aspect of it. Before or post, you have ingested the session you have ingested the data within Power BI session, it is advisable to have a look at the data table structure, or the model structure, if you will, so that you can identify those things that are not being taken care of, and you can make changes to your data tables to make your data visualization even more intuitive. So with that being said, the other thing is you will also see that we are defining relationships. So my user table is connected with the region attribute, if you will. The moment you click on this, it shows that to which attribute it is connected. And similarly, if I click on this, order ID is sort of connected with the order ID of the returns table. The other thing is, we were talking about column 26, column 27. Let's have a look within the data itself. Now, to be able to look into the data, what I need to do is I need to select the data table. Then I need to go over here in the data table view. And do I see column 26 somewhere? Yeah, here it is. Okay. So I have the option. I have the option to delete these columns if I really want to. Okay. Because these columns are not adding any value, okay, to my data. As a matter of fact, it's increasing the size of my data table. So I'll just simply delete these columns. And once I do that, now, yeah, column 26, column 27, I don't have. And I click on, I think it is already included. So I go back to the relationship table, and I don't see column 26, column 27 anymore in my data. So what we have done is essentially, we have done a little bit of data cleaning. We have done a little bit of data sort of relationship identification. And what we have done is we have connected various data tables with the main data table, so that we can make sense of the data once we start visualizing the data. And I hope that this makes sense. So these were some tips that you should be thinking about when you start to include your data within the Power BI environment. Now let's go back to the visualization. So how should you be creating this kind of a visualization? It's pretty straightforward though. So let me just go ahead and do it. So I have page 1. Let me just name it as map 1. Let me just create page 2 as tooltip. Tooltip 2. Okay. Perfect. Now to be able to create that map visualization, obviously I need a map visualization. And what I'll do is I'll just pick the state or province, throw it in the location. Okay, let me increase the size. And color saturation. So color saturation is the area where I can put the, so to say, the metric of my choice. Do I need to look at profit? Do I need to look at quantity ordered? Or do I need to look at, product based, discount, or whatever? So let's look at profit. I drag the profit here. So by default, it gives me a color of dark to light blue. Now you have the option, if you really want to change the color scheme, you can do that, okay? You have the option to do the color scheme, and under data colors, you will see that by default, it has taken minimum as light blue and maximum as dark blue, but 2 is not enough. You want more than 2, which means that you should be able to identify the middle ground as well. So you click on diverging. Okay, now you have this kind of a view, which tells you that anything which is in between light blue to dark blue is sort of falling in between. Okay, not doing that great or whatever. So now you want to change the color. So if you want to change the color, you have that option. You have the option of changing the color. Okay, so minimum, let me take red. Okay, and center, let me take an amber, and more colors. Okay, so guys, one thing that I would really want you to think about and to spend some time is, as I said, you don't consume data only with your brain, you consume data with your eyes. So in organizations, large organization, not only large, in almost all the organization, the more attractive you're going to make your data look, the more nicely it'll be consumed. Okay, so try to think about new color schemes that you can get from various data, from various websites like Pexels, Duotone, or there are so many hex color websites from where you can pick the best colors based on the client's probably logo. You can think about all those things. So just giving you an example out there. Okay, so let me just, okay, I'm happy with this. So now I can see green is good, and by default, look at the tooltip. It is telling me state or province, Texas. What is the profit? $28,078. Okay, so you may be thinking that in Excel, I can just simply do format and change the format of any metric. How should I be doing this? Okay, you can very easily do this. All you need to do is go to the table once again, and you see profit anywhere? Profit. Here it is. So you have the profit over here, and once you have selected the column, you have the option to select the specific formatting that you want for your data. Okay, so obviously in brackets means negative, and how many decimal values you want. You have the option, oops. You have the option to reduce the values to 1 or to 2 or whatever it is. So I reduced it to 0 instead of auto. And now I get back to my visualization, and it should be reflecting. Perfect. Okay. Now I see why California is doing good, $37,000, $37,422, $28,000. Why North Carolina is not doing good? Because they are in negative, $19,000. Okay. So now I have the basic structure. What is the next step? The next step is pretty straightforward. The next step is to create the tooltip, and I've already got the tooltip too. First things first, what you need to do is you need to, so what I did, I created another tab. Okay. I click on this paintbrush. Then I go to page information. Then I click on tooltip. This is very important. Okay. I hit on. Okay. Next important thing, page size. Page size, I need to select tooltip page size. Now you will see it will reduce the page size. This is how, so I've created the basic structure of tooltip. Now the next thing that I need to do is I need to bring in the visualization of my choice. Okay, so what I do is I click on stack bar, and let's do one thing. Let me just put customer segments, and customer segments with sales. Okay, perfect. Oh, this is customer name, my bad. So customer segment. Okay, perfect. Okay, so it says small business, medium business, whatever it is. Now what I need to do is the next quest for me is to, how should I fit in all the information in this particular tooltip visualization? So I need to do a little bit of formatting here. So what I'm going to do is I'll get into the paintbrush. I don't need y-axis. Okay. Do I need x-axis? Probably not. I need y-axis because it has got names. So that'll help me to understand whether corporate is doing better than home and office, or consumer is doing better than home or office or corporate, so on and so forth. Okay, so I'll keep it here. And then the next thing is, do I need a title? I don't think so. Background, no, I don't need background. Tooltip, I don't need tooltip. Visual header, I don't need, thank you. And the next thing that I'm going to do is I will reduce the size like this. Okay. You can make it as intuitive as you want to make it. Okay. So if you want to include the data colors, okay, you have the option to make these bars, red or green based on its value, negative and positive. You can do that. So right now, if you see, you're just looking at default color. So if I click on this guy function, so it should give me the option. Perfect. Now it gives me the option to do a color scaling. So it says that based on the field, you have almost all the option. You can select any field of your choice. Okay. So if you want to focus on unit price, if you want to focus on anything apart from the sales, you have the option to do that. You can even pick profit. Okay, but I'll keep it the way it is. Sum of sales. Summarization, if you want to make it average, you can do that. If you want to make it minimum, maximum, depends. Okay, whatever it is. So it says that based on the field, sum of sales, where the summarization is sum, the minimum lowest value. Okay, lowest value it is picking on its own. So you have the option to change the color. Lowest value for me is red, obviously. Okay, and the maximum value for me is, let's do blue. Okay, blue. But I don't have a middle value, so I select diverging. Middle value by default it gives me this amber guy. Okay, I have the option to select any other color. I can do that. If I want to pick this guy, I can do that. Okay, so I picked up the red one, and now what I do is I hit OK. Perfect. Now by default I'm getting this. I don't need this. Okay, I get rid of, oops, my bad. Yeah. So show as a table, analyze, you're getting all the options. But so I go to the legend, I turn it off. Now I have a simple graph. Now let's do another thing. I want to also, so not everyone, I may be sitting in some other geography and taking care of this retailer. For instance, I'm not from US, I'm from India. and I don't know geographically what is the name of the state. I can certainly see state. I can certainly see that it's in red or a green or a yellow, but I don't remember the names. So can I help my executives with that? Yes, we can do that. We can certainly do that. And to be able to do that, what I'll do is I'll pick the card option, okay? I pick the card. Let me just reduce the size, throw it in here, okay? Perfect. And once again, what I'm going to do is I'll bring in the state. Okay, now I just need to format this. So I have a category. I don't need this. I need the data label. It is 45. I'll probably make it 18 if it looks good. Yeah, it sort of looked good. Alabama. Let me reduce it a little bit more to have some space. Okay. So I have I have the name of the state. Now the next thing is to beautify it. Obviously, I want to stick with the theme. So I do Alabama in blue, or probably blue, which is distinct enough. I don't know if it is. And we don't have units over here. And font family, I pick Arial. And now even if I reduce it to 12, it should be visible. Okay, I have this guy now. All set. Now the next thing is, should I be also including the region that Alabama falls in a specific region? I have the region guy sitting here. So let me just see if I can duplicate this. Yes, by all means, I can duplicate this, and I drag it over here, and I pick the region guy, throw it in here. Now I have the region as well. And let me just color this region into a different color. And whoa, data label color. Okay, probably. This looks all right. Now, see, it's all about how you can make your data look good and presentable, because that's the name of the game, okay? My data is good, but it's not presentable, then it's not good enough. So I throw this guy over here, okay? And now the next thing, what else can I have in here? You can have almost anything and everything, okay? Is there a way that I can have profit sitting somewhere here? Probably yes. Let me just bring that guy in here. So now I also want to include profit. Alrighty, so I have profit sitting here, okay? And as I said, you can make it look as intuitive as you want, okay? You can make it look very, very informative. You can make it look minimalistic. You can make it look average. It is totally upon you that how you would want to make your data look. And in my case, I want my data to look compelling. And how I can make my data look compelling is by giving my users the capability of getting a lot of information in the most simple and effective manner. So with that being said, what I have done is I have made the tooltip. Now I need to integrate this tooltip into my map visualization. So I go back to map, okay, and then go to the page view, okay, and I select the map, my bad. You will see the tooltip option. I click on tooltip, and I have two options, report page and default. So on the report page, my tooltip is appearing, okay? I click on tooltip, perfect. Now the moment I click on this guy, there you go. I can clearly see how Montana in the West region is doing in terms of sales, in terms of profit. We are making sales in home office, but with a negative profit. What sort of sales are these? And why California in the West region is doing good? Because a lot of sales are being done within corporate with a profit of $37,000. And then similarly, Why North Carolina is not doing that great? Because it's just generating negative profit. So now you will appreciate the fact that you have a way to show the data in a way that makes more sense. Because plainly, if I look at this particular map, it certainly gives me some amount of information, but it does not give me a lot of information. So what we have done is we have done a very basic thing to include a tooltip. But to include a tooltip, there are certain actions that are required, and those actions enable this data to move from macro to micro. This view now tells me at a macro level that there are essentially two deep red states within US, and they are not making heck of a lot of sales. And then there are four light to deep green states. Those are making a lot of profit. But what items are generating those profits? What items are generating those sales? So the moment I hover on, I get answers to all those questions. And by the way, if you want to include the data label, okay, you have that option as well. Sorry, I missed that. But let me just go ahead and turn it on. Okay, so you can clearly see a lot of inference can be made out of this simple visualization, and it's quite intuitive. So this is the way how we move or how we create data stories that are compelling, that are meaningful, by leveraging the core capabilities of business analytics tool or business intelligence tool. And you can create similar kind of visualizations in Tableau as well. It's quite easy. Okay, in Tableau, all you have to do is you just have to create one sheet. The way I created one sheet for map, one sheet for tooltip. So in Tableau, you create similar sheets, and then in the main sheet, you just simply go to worksheet and insert another sheet in tooltip. That's about it. It's little, I'll not say complex, but in Power BI, it has got 2 or 3 more steps compared to Tableau. But whatever you can do in Tableau, you can also do in Power BI as well. And my personal favorite is Power BI because I worked a lot on Power BI. So with that being said, I think that this is what I really wanted to share with you all.